to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting this evening. First of all, our chair is out and our town administrator are both ill today, and so there's why they are not with us this evening. We wish them both a very speedy recovery. The executive session that was scheduled for today has not occurred because of the absence of both of those individuals. So on the agenda this evening are public service announcements, public hearing at 6:35 for a logging permit, public hearing at 7, National Grid poll hearing, department head reports, town administrators update, correspondence, approval of minutes, old business, new business, citizens forum, and an adjournment. Under public service announcements, there are 3 that have to be made, and then we'll go through the board. A public health advisory. It was confirmed that West Nile virus on August 8th was confirmed in Sturbridge near Wells State Park. Anyone who's concerned or interested can check the Sturbridge website and the Board of Health's website, and there's a telephone number there that you can call. They will come and spray your property if that's what you choose. They come between dusk and midnight, and half an hour after they come, you can go out, your pets can go out. They notify you either in person. If you're not home, they leave a note on your door on the evening that they will be doing your home. So feel free to call it. It is free. There's no charge. It's a state service. So if you're interested, check the town's website and the Board of Health website for the spraying of private property. There's also vacancies on the Design Review Committee, Conservation Commission, and Open Space Committee. If you're interested, please send an email to the town administrator. And on Sunday, August 27th at 11 a.m. at the town hall, there will be a meet and greet of the new fire chief, Chief Grasso. All residents are welcome to attend. It's open to the public. It's open to everyone. So it'll be here with a few, I guess, muffins or whatever I was told that they're having in the morning, and coffee at 11 o'clock in this particular hall. Any public service announcements, Mr. Moran?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Supranat?
No.
Ms. Dowling?
I just want to thank all the businesses and restaurants, establishments that participated in the library's summer raffle. If you took out a library book during the summer months, you could fill out a raffle ticket and put it in a number of tin cans. And I don't know if they did the drawing this week or it's imminent if they haven't already done it, but I don't want to leave any business out. But there were a lot that participated, and the librarian said they were very generous once again. $25 gift certificates, pottery, everybody's fitness, just a host of our business community, coming together for a great cause. So I want to thank them.
Okay. We have like 2 minutes.
Do correspondence?
Yeah, why don't we do correspondence?
I don't know, do we have it really handy? Here we go. Correspondence, August 21. August 4th, Charter Communications, update on the channel changes. August 4th, CEA Corporate Environmental Advisors regarding Phase 4 of the Remedy Implementation Plan. August 7th, Vineyard Engineering and Environmental Services regarding diesel fuel release occurring from a tractor-trailer accident located at Exit 1, Interstate 84 eastbound, which resulted in immediate response action. August 8th, Charter Communications, another update on channel changes. August 10th, The Beacon, from the publication of the Mass Municipal Association, final marijuana law rewrite, changes, tax rates, opt-out process. October 14th, from the Mass DEP, updates on the Southbridge Recycling and Disposal Park. August 14th, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Representative Smola and Representative Robert DeLeo humbly requesting an override of Governor Baker's veto of line item 2250/2000. August 14th, which I think was the water study. for
Yeah.
Gilpin Road. Governor Baker vetoed it, and our representative and senator are still behind trying to get the funding to do a study for the water line from Gilpin Road. August 14th, the Teamsters Union Local 170, regarding its desire to change or amend the contract between the town of Sturbridge and the firefighters. August 14th, the Commonwealth of Mass, County of Plymouth, regarding the Plymouth County Commissioners being pleased to present the 2018 Cooperative Procurement Offering of Public Services and Municipal Vehicles with Equipment. And August 14th, KP Law, our counsel, resolved this matter without the need for further litigation. Board of Health versus David Pelletier.
All set? 6:35.
Sweet.
Okay, good. Okay, so now we have the public hearing.
And I think we also got a memo from Larry Morris and a number of us indicating a
Indicating his desire to be on the Cultural Council.
cultural council, right?
Right, correct. Okay.
And that's, thank you.
Anybody else get anything else? So, public hearing, Mans Forest Land Management, Harris Holdings, Breakneck Road, Sturbridge logging permit. Will the proponents please come forward?
It's not Harris Holdings, it's Florence B. Misselwitz.
Well, our notification here just says Harris Holding.
It's actually, it is a different one. It's on the paperwork, if you look on the paperwork, it's Florence B.
Misselwitz.
Miswitz.
Trust.
So it's not Harris Holding, so this paperwork's incorrect?
Just the front, this paperwork is all correct.
But
It's
the
just-
Harris Holding is not correct, correct?
No.
No,
Am I right?
Harris
Harris-
Holding is not correct.
All right.
It's actually Florence B.
I don't know.
Miswitz Trust.
Okay. Okay, come forward, please.
Sure.
And speak into the microphone, that's for the people at home, and identify yourself, please.
Brett Mann, Mann's Forest Land Management. Wow, this up. Yeah, you can speak into the mic.
Your name, please?
Lyle Hislop.
Questions from the board?
Maybe if they just give a brief
Right.
overview for the record of,
Want to tell us where your plan is, and we'll go from there.
Okay. It's located right on the Union, Connecticut line. It's an 80-acre tract owned by Florence B. Misselwitz. And I believe that part of the road has been disconnected, discontinued rather. I sure hope so. There's no way you can travel that, so we're gonna be pulling the trail up through Connecticut Way.
You're not coming on Sturbridge Road at all?
No. We're gonna use that access to get out to Mashpond Road, I believe that is in Union. Come out by the Travelers Restaurant.
Yeah.
The road is in such deplorable condition, it was, you couldn't get a log truck coming in from the town landfill area. Absolutely not. Is that road officially discontinued?
I don't know. Craig?
Does anybody have any information?
It is
It's not abandoned,
discontinued.
it's discontinued.
But
And
not
it's all in
abandoned.
Connecticut, none of it's in Sturbridge?
Well, there's a portion of it, there's a portion of it certainly in Sturbridge, but the lot they're working on.
Is Connecticut? Okay.
and Craig, just, can you tell us the distinction between an abandoned road and a discontinued road?
Sure.
To abandon the property would revert to the abutters. Discontinued, it's still the right of way, but it's not maintained.
Okay,
And don't they own to the center of the road?
That would be if it was abandoned.
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 So I just wanted to clarify that. So you're absolutely sure on that? It is not abandoned?
I don't know if it was abandoned.
Do you have any record of that?
Well, he's the gentleman that would know, that's why we asked him.
Yeah,
We have to go back, we have to.
yeah, you-
Well, it's kind of important for me, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, is it important for you for purposes of this forest cutting plan?
Yeah, if he owns to the center of the road, and then there's, then I don't have to worry about if I have to take a tree, if something's in the way, if I ding up, we're gonna be using that road to come down Harvestwood. get, you know, equipment in and out. And it's, you can barely get through, you probably haven't traveled this road. I mean, the only people that use it are these guys in these modified Jeeps. That's what, when I was marking the timber out there, I ran into a couple of them, and they got these big flags, and they got these souped-up Jeeps, and they're having a ball out there, but that's the only people I see using the road.
Greg, would it be possible at some point to get the answer to that so that they would know what to do?
I'd have to research it, but I didn't get the information until this morning, so
Right, no, I get it. No, I'm not putting you on a spot, I'm just asking you a question.
that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
It hasn't been done, so we can get it done. I mean, something we can get done.
Yeah, something we can get.
That'd be great, yeah.
So then, we don't delay it? We just.
Well, do you, I mean, if you want to move, you still want to, I assume, move forward with your
Oh, yeah.
permit
absolutely.
tonight.
It's just to clarify, I mean, I would just like to have it clarified.
No, I
if
think you have
can,
a
you know.
right to know.
Yeah, you know, so I don't get into any situation. I'd like to know if it is abandoned or if it's just discontinued or what the
Okay.
status of the road is. That'd be great. It's not gonna stop us, but it would be nice to know.
It was a public road, approximately around like 62 of the existing breakneck road. And from that point all the way to the landfill was discontinued. And then they put the landfill out there, you know, it was on town property, upgraded the road. And it automatically turned to a town road by prescription because there was a public
Facility.
at the end of the road.
Right.
I mean, the start of that road, you know, when I first started in 95, it was really right around house number 62, was public from there on.
It was,
It didn't become a town road until the 20 years passed with landfill. So,
Okay.
Coming in from the other way.
coming in from our end.
Right. Coming in from the
So
other way.
that's expanded once already due to the public facility and beyond that. So I'm pretty sure it's still discontinued. If it was abandoned, then the guy would own it. Each butter would own it.
Correct, that's right.
So it is, you know, I don't think that's any different than the beginning of the road, that's why I'm saying that. I would doubt it was abandoned from that point beyond, because it wasn't that way in 95. It was basically a public road, the round lot, house number 62, from 62 to the landfill, wasn't a public road, even though there was houses there, it wasn't a public road until the landfill had been there 20 years, and then by prescription, the town had to make it, had to accept it.
I see, okay, I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
so that's all happened in recent memory, and I don't, the additional length on it, I don't think would change, that's what I'm guessing, but.
Okay, we can get back to them.
Okay.
Was
Thank
that
you very
that
much.
one, Jerry?
We will get that information.
Would
We
you
will
like-
get that information
I
and
would
get it to
appreciate
you.
That would be
Okay.
awesome.
Questions from the board?
yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I don't see a landing area down by, we are taking it out down by Travelers, is that right? I only see one landing area, and that's kind of to the north of the project.
There should be two on there.
I'm only looking at one, unless it's jammed in here somewhere.
Well, There's one kind of in the middle of the lot and one on the southern end of the lot.
I put one right on the southern end of the lot, right on basically the Connecticut line.
It's a lower left-hand corner.
Oh, okay, way down there.
Way
Yeah.
down there.
Okay,
You got
so
it?
what about the landing area up on the northern end? That's already been constructed, hasn't it?
No, no,
There is no landing area there?
no, no. No, there's just an existing car road.
Okay,
That-
because I see that you were gonna replace the grass and stuff like that in that area, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so we can take that landing area off the map, is that correct?
No.
No.
No, we still have two landing areas on this. Do you have the copy of the map?
Yep.
And you see the two X's?
I see the second X now, we don't even
Okay.
wanna.
Yeah, no, I need these, because this property is like a mile long. And
Okay.
it just that's an enormous skid, to,
Okay.
you know, to skid the logs out. So we're gonna take the northern section, basically, you see the car path that dissects the property there?
Yes.
I want to take that section, pull that wood to that first landing there, and then below that, the southern part of the car path, I'm gonna pull down to this landing down here,
Okay,
okay?
but all of the wood is eventually going to the southern end, correct?
Yes,
It's going out that way.
it's going out that way, but we might.
Load
if I-
trucks on
I'm
the-
gonna- I might load trucks up here.
Okay, so if you load trucks up there, isn't that an end that's gonna go in Breakneck Road?
No, no. Everything's coming out.
You're gonna be able to get trucks all the way through this muddy, swampy area?
This isn't that bad.
No, it's
No, the worst section is when you just go past the landfill, and then then you go past Howell's, about 1,000 feet, then it gets really,
Now, this, if I'm not mistaken, this is the one where you come up Breakneck Road and you go to the left of the landfill, is that correct?
correct.
And go in there?
You gotta go all the way to the very end.
I'm
Yeah.
very familiar with that.
Okay, so if you go all the way to the very end, that's where I'm gonna have a landing there, and then in about the middle of it, I'm gonna have a landing in that section.
So you wouldn't be coming in a Sturbridge at all for
No,
anything?
not at all, no. No, it's just too rough, and you couldn't, there's not enough, it's not economically feasible, so we'll go out the other way. And it'd be good for everybody involved.
Craig, others? Craig, anything else?
No, the only thing I'm looking at, do you have a list of the special conditions that our Conservation Commission was asking for? As far
No, I
as,
don't have any of that.
Harvest only to occur during November 1st to March 31st?
Yes,
And I
that's.
think you'd mentioned that earlier.
Yes, that's the, yes,
2 of the largest diameter hardwood trees per acre shall be retained
correct.
in the DCR service forest, so she'll be notified when the harvest begins.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And have all, just one second,
Yes,
Craig,
ma'am.
well, on that, have you got any responses from any abutters? Were there any abutters to this? None.
There was 4, and I didn't get any responses.
Yeah. But he should have the cards with him.
Yeah.
I notice he's got the certified mail.
Yeah, I have everything here for you.
So
Now,
make
they're
sure-
not, oh,
Just
sorry.
make sure she has it before you leave.
Oh, give it to Debbie, okay.
Now, those aren't, there are no homes on those abutting
Oh,
property?
no, there's no homes around here.
No. So those abutters are land only?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did,
And
And they're all big, large landowners, like you have Hull Forest Products, they have 700 acres behind us. Then you have Pomprion, I think he's got a couple hundred acres. And then the people to the south that actually go into Connecticut, I don't know how much they have in Connecticut, actually, but they've got like 15.
They own all the way around the pond.
Yeah, okay, they got other big, large landowners, yeah, but there's
Now,
no,
when you leave the Travelers, which way will you be going with these logs?
if you were leaving to go past Travelers, if you come off 84,
Yeah.
all right, go right past Travelers on the right-hand side, then you go down, take a right, follow all the way to the end,
Get right on
and that's,
Down where
that's
Goodall's
where,
is, yeah,
that's where
yeah.
the, old yeah,
Yeah.
right there,
Okay, but when you're coming out with the load, where will you be going from there?
on Route 84.
84, and
Yeah.
you'll be going west?
I'm not sure.
Depends.
It
Depends
depends.
on who buys the logs.
Yeah,
Chicken?
Depends on who buys the logs.
Okay.
yeah,
They'll either get on 84, or they'll
I'm just
go to
looking at the fact,
Hulls,
would the logs be coming into Sturbridge for some reason?
I'm not, you know what, at this point, we haven't made up determined who we're gonna sell the logs to.
Okay.
yeah,
So what we should probably do is place the road bond on
Yeah,
there.
we need the
yeah,
bond.
just in
right.
case,
Yep.
Okay, for
yeah,
5,000?
Road bond.
yeah.
road bond, okay, I
Yeah.
mean, we did that before.
Yep,
No problem.
yep.
You mentioned some of the abutter,
Let's, is Craig all set?
I'm all set.
All set, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
I thought he, yeah. Sorry, excuse me. You mentioned some of the abutters. The Southbridge Water Department doesn't own any
No.
land up in that area?
No.
Okay. Yeah,
No, one of the other butters is the National Heritage, the one that's,
yeah,
we have an endangered species there, so whatever, we have to start them, that's why we start them November 1st.
okay.
It's part of that deal. But I figured we were pulling the logs out onto a discontinued road. That's why I didn't think I would need a bond, because, you know, our operation's gonna be on a discontinued road, and then we're gonna go right out into Connecticut, and then I don't know, you know,
Yeah,
we're
but-
gonna be on a main highway then. We're not gonna be, so I thought the bond was just to make sure that we didn't disturb any of the local roads. Like, we spent over $700 putting in some grindings over there on the other job, and made sure we didn't hurt the curb or anything like
Yeah,
that.
no, you're exactly correct.
Okay.
But the easiest way for you to get out of here, where you are.
Yes.
Is to come down to exit 1 and get on a Mashpog Road and head into Connecticut.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is a town road.
okay. So you want me to get the bond for
That's what I'm
Mashpog
looking- just-
Road?
Just for town roads.
Just for,
All it has
okay.
to do is
Covers
town-
all
interstate
towns road.
highways, we don't care about. You're permitted and licensed for that, but if you start coming over with 130,000 and damaging the roads, then we get an issue.
We're into Connecticut before we even get on
You know what, there
our
might,
roads.
might be 100 feet of, I don't know, I think we go right into Connecticut, but,
But
On
you don't
your
really
road.
know.
Yeah,
You don't
it's-
really know, so we need that, we need
town
that
line, yeah.
bond. Yeah.
What I'm
Okay.
saying is, you're saying you don't know where you're gonna sell them. And if you sell them in Putnam, Connecticut to a logger or whatever you're gonna do down there, the easiest way to get to that section of Connecticut is to come to exit 1 in Mass on 84 and take a right and then a left and get on a Mashpog Road and go all the way out through by the Harrington Hospital thing and down in the Connecticut that way.
Connecticut, yeah, so.
I just thought it was for landing purposes and, you know, it does, you know, it's a small, we can get the bond.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're good.
That's
That's
over.
what makes you, if that's what you want, we'll get the bond.
That's over.
That's what we require of
Okay.
everyone.
We would have had it already done, but I didn't,
Yeah.
I misunderstood, so.
Mike, anything else?
No, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, Mary?
You know, I noticed also on the cover sheet, it says a bond for a road. Right
Yeah,
on
they'd
your
ask for a
own.
waiver for that.
Oh, this was my question. It says, I also will be looking for waivers for some of the requirements included
Like
in the
code
town's
findings.
bylaws. And my question to you is going to be, what specifically are you looking
Well, I
to
had to
waive?
notify the superintendent, right, I had to get the bus schedule.
Oh, those 3 bullet points are the
Yes.
waivers you're looking for?
Yes,
Okay, I
yes,
didn't
yes.
understand. I
Okay.
thought exactly the opposite. You're looking for waivers, but you acknowledge that you need to do those 3
It just didn't apply
things.
to the situation, you know? I mean, there's not a house within a mile of this property, so there's no school bus going down this road. So there's no need of, you know, notifying the superintendent on getting all that, so.
Well, that's reasonable, but in terms of notifying our DPW director upon the start, I think that would be, you know, common courtesy at that point, because you
There
may
again,
or may not be going on Sturbridge
It
roads,
was
we
a
don't know.
discontinued road, so
Yeah.
that's
Right.
fine. I have no
Okay.
problem doing that.
And I know that you're calling it an abandoned road, so just so we know for the record that there is now disagreement about whether it's abandoned or
I put
discontinued.
discontinued on the plan. 'cause
Okay, but abandoned's on the cover sheet, so that's
Okay.
okay.
That's,
Anything else from the board?
No.
Anyone in the public? Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
second?
All those in favor? Public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
Give this to her.
Yeah, when we're done.
I'll make a motion that we approve the logging permit for Mann's Forest Land Management, contingent upon them obtaining a bond for $5,000 for the town and notifying our DPW director upon the start of the logging operation.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I was going to say something for discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah, is the logging permit issued to the forester, or is it issued to the landowner? Florence B. Misselwitz Trust?
It would be,
Okay.
I think, issued to the
Selowitz.
landowner.
Okay.
So I'm
I
going to
would-
amend it accordingly. But for purposes of discussion, we normally have a list of other requirements besides these 3 bullets, including no foresting on a Sunday, holidays. I don't know how the
Yeah,
board
that's the only ones I
feels.
was asking for. I
Okay,
understand.
all right. I don't know how the board feels
You know,
about
I don't
waiving
even know
that.
about that, though. Why not? Why?
I'm not personally in favor of distinguishing one
No, I agree.
logging permit from another,
Right.
Well,
so.
given this, I would like to actually, because we're going to be under, see, we're only going to be able to harvest this from November 1st till March 1st? Did he put in a specific?
March 31st.
Yeah.
March 31st, yeah, so that kind of limits me. I should be able, it should work out, but I don't see how we would disturb anybody by working on Sunday in there if we had to.
We allow it, and also till dusk at that point, too,
Right, for safety
for
reasons.
safety reasons.
Okay.
So I think
I'm gonna-
I think you need to, you want
gonna amend
to
the
amend it
motion.
to include all conditions?
All conditions that we normally apply to a logging permit, typically our town administrator lists them all for us.
Obviously, the school bus schedule doesn't affect you.
Doesn't affect
Right.
So if you have one on there that doesn't affect you, it doesn't affect you. But at least you'll be given the same conditions that every logger is given, because everybody
works for
gets
you,
the same
that's-
thing.
Which is no logging on Sundays and no logging past dusk, safety
Right.
purposes.
Okay.
How close would you say you are to the dump?
Oh, mile.
Well,
Yes.
the area that you're in and the way he is out there, I don't think he's gonna disturb anything but drunks and skunks.
That's okay, what
He
doesn't
is
apply?
so far out in the woods that he's never gonna bother anybody on Breakneck Road. The rest area on 84, he might wake somebody up, but other than that, there's nothing around. It's just.
That's why, yeah, correct.
It's really.
Yeah, well, the dusk isn't for disturbing purposes, that's for safety purposes,
Safety,
which is applicable even to the loggers.
Well, exactly, but I
So-
mean, you know, now you're getting in OSHA regulations that they can't work at nighttime.
I know, but I'm not going to, personally, my motion is going to include not
Whatever.
logging at dusk, because I'm not going to give them our,
No, I didn't really care about the
Blessing.
dust, but if I could have worked a half a day on Sunday or something, would have been, just to give us a little extra time, would have been, because now you get into, we're gonna be into winter conditions, and it gets rough.
You see, you have to see where we're sitting too.
No, I understand.
We have a lot of loggers that come
But given this
forward,
location and where it is, I think the board could have a little leeway there.
but we could get that argument from every logger. And so, there are other projects besides this one, and so the motion is on the table for, are you including all conditions as?
with the exception of the busing schedule.
Okay.
I mean, and as far as, if you're behind, given the weather and stuff, you can come back at that point, but we're not going to allow it from now before you even know whether or not you're going to
Well,
be
that's the
held
thing.
up. But if there's hardship circumstances, then you're always able to come back to the board and ask for that requirement to
All
be
right.
lifted.
Is there a second?
I'll second her motion.
Is there further discussion? All those in favor of Mary's motion? Carries 4-0. Okay,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Give this
Oh, it's almost time for the other one. Okay, we got like 5 minutes before we can get to the next hearing. So we need an appointment of an alternate to the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission for fiscal year 18. And Selectman Dowling was the last time, so it's up to you what you want to do. You want to nominate someone? If Selectman Dowling wants to continue?
I mean,
Yeah.
you did it all. I don't think I went to one meeting, so
Yeah.
I'm perfectly willing to be the alternate again,
Okay.
if you don't want to be the representative.
He is the representative.
I know he is. Oh, we already appointed him.
Yeah, last week.
Oh, okay,
Last
I
meeting.
apologize. Okay.
I'd make a motion
Okay.
that Mary Dowling be the alternate member to the CMRPC.
Is there a second?
There is.
A discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Vote carries 4-0. Appointment of Sandra Nasto to the Special Events Committee. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve Ms. Nasto to the Special Events Committee.
Is there a
Second.
second? Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote carries 4-0. Appointment of Angela Smith, representative of the Cultural Council, and Ann Rossioli, representative from Recreation, on the Special Events Committee.
So
There-
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And discussion? All in favor? Vote carries 4-0. Okay. Approval of the IOD for the officer, Ronald Lobachowski.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Vote carries 4-0. The Riverlands, but I think that might have a little bit more discussion than we have time for. So, according to, I spoke to Leon today, and he has asked that the board read their policy developments that he has in the packet, and because Selectman Blanchard is missing and he's not here, any questions you have, any comments you want to make, to email to the town administrator, and we'll discuss this at another meeting, rather than doing it tonight. And the SAFER grant, the same thing with the SAFER grant has, because of the absences.
How are
Now,
we doing on time for that?
I believe we're in, because I asked that question today, and he said we're okay.
Okay.
Because I said to him, what do we do with the SAFER grant with you out and Mary?
Yeah.
And he said, we're okay. He said, it's not going to happen today. So I said, okay, fine. So
Do we really have to sit down and figure out where that money's gonna come from?
I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what he said, I guess they're almost ready with, so.
Okay.
And I guess Barbara's involved in that too, so.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so let's start. I'm going to go to old business for the moment. Craig, do you have any old business? I may have to come back to it, but we'll start with that.
Old business, I would say, would be telephone poles. There is a section of, the last time we voted on a pole was on Matchpark Road.
Yep.
And I've driven that section a couple of times, and I'm gonna pick a number which I think is pretty close, of around 30 poles between Route 15, taking Mashpog Road down to River Road. Of those 30 poles, I'm gonna say 26 of them are double poles in that entire stretch of road.
And those are telephone poles?
Those are telephone poles, all doubled. You know, some have got phone wires on them and cable wires, and the others have got the electric wires, and nothing has been transferred. Now we've got that new system across from Cracker Barrel that just went in for the
Solar?
solar system.
Yes.
And we've got big poles up there with the wires on them, but it looks like they've attached the other poles kind of semi-permanently that are right beside it cut off, that have got all the rest of the localized wires on.
Okay. I can email this to Leon on your behalf if you'd like. That okay with you?
That's fine. Did you look at our paperwork from our DPW director?
I did.
Okay.
I did. So so Leon has to have this too. So I will bring it to him. That's a concern. That work?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, we had talked about this at a meeting before.
Quite a while
Where
ago.
we had Verizon in and we had National Grid in at the same time. And up until that time, I don't know of anything that's been accomplished. I mean, I'm not in the loop, and they may be on back roads pulling poles, but I haven't seen it.
Okay. Anything else, Craig, on old business?
No, I understand that according to Leon's thing, that we are now online.
Online.
With the solar.
Yes.
So we should just start to see the benefits of that.
That's what he said to me today.
Financial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
Okay. Mike?
I don't have any old
Mary?
business.
No. I don't have any either, and it's 7 o'clock, so that's perfect. Okay, 7 o'clock, public hearing, National Grid poll hearing. New Boston Road, beginning at a point approximately 90 feet south of center line of the intersection of Forest Lane to serve transformers in the development. Is there anyone here from National Grid?
Do I have to read the legal service announcement?
Yes,
We didn't
please.
do it.
Yeah, we didn't do it.
Okay. The legal advertisement reads as follows. National Grid has made a petition to the Sturbridge Board of Selectmen to install one JO pole on New Boston Road, beginning at a point approximately 90 feet south of center line of the intersection of Forest Lane to serve transformers in development. The hearing will be held on Monday, August 21, 2017, 7 p.m., Sturbridge Town Hall, Main Street, Sturbridge.
Can you identify yourself, please?
My name is James Varney. I'm here representing National Grid.
Okay. There's no abutters to that. Are there any abutters to that, Debbie?
Just across the street.
There's 4, but I haven't got the paperwork.
Do you have the paperwork from them?
No.
No, I sent it out and nothing's come back.
Nothing's come back to you?
No, but it did get sent out.
Okay. All right, can you tell us what your plans are, please?
Yeah, we're going to be installing a pole there. So there's the current hotel there on the corner that is up. And this is going to be feeding charging stations for electric vehicles. Not for the hotel, it's a third party, but it's on the hotel's parking lot.
Okay.
They required their own transformer for it because the hotels wanted to keep it all separate. That we will use that transformer at some point to feed out. There's 2 more buildings that are supposed to be going up in there at some point. So we'll be using that to feed those when they do come in. But yeah, other than that, we weren't able to use the existing pole 7 because of that the gas easement that runs through there. There's an oil pipeline. And yeah.
Questions from the board to gentlemen?
Yes.
Right?
It says here it's an order for joint or identical pole locations. So you want to put up a pole and Verizon wants to put up a pole, is that correct?
No, it'll be one pole, just joint ownership.
Say again?
There'll be one pole, we'll just share ownership of it.
Okay, because this is National Grid, Verizon, formerly known as New England Telephone, being they are hereby granted joint or identical locations for and permission to erect and maintain poles and wires. That tells me that it's more than one pole.
Yeah, no, there's only one pole. Trying to see where it...
The thing is I can understand, but these are going to be pretty big businesses in there that are going in there like the hotel is.
Yeah.
instead of putting transformers in, why wouldn't they put a pad-mounted transformer?
So we're doing.
So you're just gonna run wires to that? You need more poles?
Yeah, so we have that,
Property now.
that one pole 6 is, we're gonna feed out of that pad mount and come down. We're gonna feed off pole 6 to the new pad mount transformer.
And pole 6 is right on New Boston Road?
Yes. Yep. They're right on the corner up by where their new driveway's gonna come in.
Okay, but wouldn't that be an underground thing?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a riser pole. Like that pole 6 will be the riser pole for it.
Drop.
It's the vertical drop.
It's the vertical drop.
To the transformer.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just didn't know whether you'd come off of pole 6 and go down in the ground and go to
Yeah.
the transformer.
That's what we're gonna be doing.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. So there's just one pole for this whole thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that one pole, then it's gonna go to the transformer, and from the transformer, we can loop out of them and go to other transformers. So,
Okay.
The way that's written, it's a right to place the pole and maintain it, you know. So if they slap another pole in front of it and it's too close, that's the weakness of that contract.
Well, that's right, and I'm reading the contract, and it specifically states that they be granted joint or identical locations for and permission to erect and maintain poles, plural, and wires to be placed thereon, together with such sustaining and protecting fixtures as the company may deem necessary in the public way or ways hereinafter referred to. So, I guess if we can change this to one pole, that would be a step in the right direction. And what do you have for a setback on the pole from the road?
that won't be about 4 feet off the edge of the road. We can move it, you know, when they come to place it, we can, if 4 feet's a problem, we can push it in a little farther. If you want it closer, that's,
Well, the thing is, it's gonna be an intersection where you're probably gonna have trailer trucks going in there and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So if we could push it to 6 feet, that'd be terrific.
yeah, that's fine. Move the
Is that an
stake.
issue?
Yeah,
Okay.
not an issue at all.
Okay.
All set, Greg?
Yes, ma'am, also.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, I have a question why the drop can't be done from pole 5.
Well, so they got they have a retaining wall coming in. So if we were gonna come off pole 5, they have a low retaining wall coming in along the southern edge of their driveway there. So we basically have to just trench down, they have to do it, but they have to trench down the right of way, down along, parallel to New Boston Road, and then come in through the driveway there. Or it'd basically double the length of their trench.
It would double, well, you're showing the conduit going underneath their driveway, the proposed conduit, and going quite a ways in. If this plan is to scale, it's not going to double the length of their,
Well, the transformer, so where you can see the conduit line starts to cut across.
Yeah.
Their transformer's right across there, so it's gonna, add 40% more.
yeah.
I mean, it's a good chunk, and that'll be along New Boston Road, which typically we don't like to keep trenches like that in the public right of way. Creates problems if they ever want to ride in the road or anything weird, so we try to stay away from that kind of stuff.
But, in all our new subdivisions, you have trenches, and if the road is accepted, then it's in a public way.
Yeah.
Underground, and you maintain that. So, there's an existing pole that you could use for a drop.
Yeah, it's just adding a lot of, length to the contractor. I mean, because there's no way you can't come straight in onto their property from there due to grade changes and a building being there. So you'd basically be trenching right up past where pole 6 is. It'd be.
You can't trench underneath the retaining wall? It's just a small retaining wall. I can't believe you can't go underneath it, but.
Well, yeah, physically we can, but it's unnecessary, really.
Well, in my opinion, the pole's unnecessary. It's just, you're just doing that, you're just putting another pole up just because you can, or you think you can. I don't really, I don't know why it's, why it would be necessary. And to add another 50 feet of,
Well, it's not 50 feet. It's more, right there, it's more like you're talking 80 feet of trench along in the public right away. It says 80 feet more concrete, 80 feet
Okay,
more
well,
digging.
Yeah, I was just guessing it was 150 between pole 7 and pole 5.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, these aren't to scale, it's all,
That versus the cost of installing a new pole.
oh, poles are cheap for us. They're cheap.
So you go to buy one,
Yeah.
another $1,000.
Yeah, the cost of installation is not cheap, and chances are the developer of the site's going to be putting in the conduit anyhow. You're not going to be doing it. You'd just be pulling the wire.
Yeah, no, we don't do the digging, that's all on the contractor.
So,
But,
again, I ask, why can't you use pole 5 as a drop?
I mean, if you can approve running the trench down along New Boston Road, I mean, from there, we're talking more bends, so now we're gonna have a box, so we're gonna have to have them put an underground structure on the corner up there. Because we'll be exceeding the amount of bends that we allow. I mean, you're talking a pretty significant cost increase for the customer. Because, I mean, depending on you guys, we'll need another hearing for the trench underground to come from pole 5 down through the public right-of-way along to the driveway. And then there's costs, too, associated with that we revenue justify for customers when they come in, based on their first 12 months of load. So that's all cost from us that they get discounts on. So one thing that they don't get costs reimbursed from us on is underground trench work, conduit installation, any sort of underground structures. And if, they're losing out on a lot of cash from us, so it's gonna end up just winding up costing them a lot more money and a lot more time. In addition to having us have to own and maintain something in the public right away. That's, a couple hundred feet of trench, or not a couple hundred, but good distance of trench.
That's kind of the point I was trying to get across when I was talking about putting the drop on the pole.
Yeah.
And sending it to the pad, but you kept pushing me on that pole 6. That's exactly what I was talking about,
Yeah, riser
instead
pole.
of putting in a new pole.
Am I to understand you correctly that if you use pole 6 versus pole 5, it's more amenable to the property owner and less expensive to the property owner than it is to use pole 5? Am I understanding this correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the cost is more prohibitive to using pole 5?
Yeah, basically, for cost reasons, you'd want to use pole 6. Pole 5 will be more expensive.
To the property owner?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't see how we can do for one what we can't do for the other, because we went through the same thing with the public house. On their pad-mounted transformer,
Yeah,
when they wanted to put a pole across the street and put 3 transformers on it,
yeah.
and then they wanted to move one on the side of the public house. I mean, electricity is a cost of doing business just like any business has. It's not something that's new. And as far as wandering wires underground, National Grid is very familiar with that.
Yeah, we do underground all the time.
Thousands of miles all over the place running underground.
Yep.
So it's something, if they use contractors instead of their own trucks or whatever the situation is, I mean, if you amortize it over 20 years, it's gonna be nothing. If you want to advertise it over 1 year, well, that's a problem for every customer that wants to run underground, I guess, with the grid.
Yeah, I mean,
Is there anything else? Selectman Dowling?
Well, one of my questions is, attached to the memo, our DPW director, states you don't have a problem with this particular pole and location, provided there's that 4 feet to 6 foot buffer.
yeah, off the edge of the curb.
Right, which okay. But then then you're listing 2 concerns that you have about the existing ones. I thought the last time, and it wasn't you as the representative, but I thought the last time National Grid came before us with a pole location, we made it contingent upon a good faith effort to correct the problems that were existing at the time. And it doesn't seem like, at least from this memo, that any real progress has been made on those.
Thought you're talking old
That's what
double poles,
Chris-
right?
Pardon?
You're talking the old double poles?
Yeah, and so it wasn't you sitting there,
Yeah.
but our last approval was contingent upon Verizon, National Grid, contacting Verizon and jointly making an effort to correct the poles that don't have that kind of a buffer. And we left and it was all good. And now we're here with another request, but yet the contingencies we put on the last approval, it doesn't seem to have been addressed at all. So, I mean,
As far as moving poles further off the curb, that's way over my pay grade to give, any sort of response.
right,
to
I
that.
get
Not
that.
the issue right now.
I
So
understand
I
that.
can't really speak to that. You guys should be familiar with the rep Kevin Shaughnessy.
Who was here? I don't recall. It was
we've spoken.
several months ago.
Kevin Shaughnessy, he's like the community outreach guy for for South Central Mass.
Okay.
He'd be the person to direct those sorts of concerns to, because he can, that'd be like a larger scale project, pushing poles off the street like that.
But that project is not connected to this.
I understand,
Okay.
right.
Which I
yeah,
just don't
so-
want to blur it for the
I
people
understand.
watching.
So like in terms of this one, I guess I don't have any questions. I mean, if it's I understand, one pole versus the other, but there's cost concerns to the property owner. So, but this contract, do you just use forms? Because it does say poles throughout, and I have a feeling that you just pull a form.
Yeah, this
And
is a
then all you
standardized-
do is in this section, insert what's specific to this particular hearing. Is that right?
Yeah, so with the forms, again, that's something that's set up between us and the regulators and
Right.
lawyers, and that's,
Yeah, no, I get it, but I mean, when we make the motion and then we sign it at the bottom, I think that we should change it to erect and maintain one pole, and where they make references to plural poles, that we delete that. And then where you specify what pole it is, I think we should say, to serve transformers in development, comma, provided a 4 feet to 6 foot buffer is maintained between the gutter line of the road and the pole face, which is what was in our DPW director's memo.
yeah,
So-
that'd be something that would have to go with grid legal to get that written into a contract.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to get that written in if that's going to be our motion, and that's what we're going to sign.
Yeah,
I'd like to make a motion, if I could.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we send this back to National Grid for the next Selectmen's meeting, and have an emphasis placed on seeing if they can come up with an easier, more ineffective way or an inexpensive way to get this thing hooked up to pole 5 and running underground.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I just want to ask you a question.
Yep.
If we do that and put it off to the next selectmen's meeting, which is in 2 weeks, does this impact the property owner in any way?
oh yeah, it's gonna delay them, and it's gonna cost them money. I mean, because we won't be ready for the next poll, we won't be ready for 2 weeks, we won't be for that, so whatever hearing, if there's one, so what do you guys, every 2 weeks, roughly?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it'd be off to at least the one after that, so, I mean, you're talking, a month, and then whatever cost increases, it's gonna be on them for
And
trenching like
cost
that.
and loss
Yep.
is what I'm hearing.
Yep.
And can I ask a question of the motion,
Yes.
people? What are the pros, and I understand what the concerns are, which are kind of steep for a property owner. What are the advantages of your approach, wanting to use pole 5 and not pole 6?
One is, well, the first thing is I want to get the documentation straightened out. So it's only for one pole, and the adjacent structures or fittings or whatever they have to put the
It
wires.
could take months. That'd be dealing with National Grid lawyers.
We
That
can
could
put
take
that in our
months.
motion.
We could put, that could be put in the motion.
Yeah.
We
But
can
what about,
circumvent.
right, but I'm asking you more about why you want pole 5, why you want to do it a whole different way.
That's going to be a busy driveway. You're going to have three different operations in there, including the hotel. So you're going to have a lot of traffic. If you start bringing tractor trailers in there, or whatever the situation is, there's a chance that they're going to hook onto those poles. I mean, we lose the light pole right here at 131 and Route 15, the traffic lights, like once every 3 months. They're taking those poles down. So there's going to be a lot of traffic. And just to put another pole up there, I mean, while this place was being built, they could have gotten the permits and run the wires while it was still gravel out there, and now we got all hot top in those driveways. So now it's a problem, and it's really not a problem, because these particular buildings have been discussed since the permit and the TIF was issued.
Right, but we're not going to pay for the cost of the fact that the driveways are in. I mean, that's not on
Correct,
Sturbridge.
but I mean, it's going to cost the customer extra money.
Right, well, that's on him, I
Because they're
mean,
going to have to dig, but I mean, it's the same thing with the public house. It cost him more money to go around that pole that he wanted to put across the street, but in the end, he was glad he did it.
Could we go for,
Are you telling me that you're not charging the customer for the installation of the drop pole?
oh, very low, because they had a lot of load, so it was coming off to
So
pretty
you're
low
not,
cost for them.
so you're not charging for the drop pole
I don't remember if it
installation?
was $0, but yeah, it wasn't much.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I guess I have a question, if we can get our DPW director's input on, do you,
I wanted to come up here because the people can't hear him.
I guess I want to get Greg's input on this particular pole, putting another pole up. Do you foresee any kind of
Right.
traffic issue or safety issue or
I think
any
he-
concern that Craig raised?
He'd already agreed on the 6-foot setback on the pole, so if the pole were to go, that would at least be a help on the turning radius.
Well,
for
yeah,
these
but
big
he's
trucks.
agreeing to that already.
Yeah, I
the
mean, we
6-foot
we
buffer.
can push it 6 feet off. We can come, we can come 5, 6 feet, more, or towards pole 5 there. And then, if you want, we could even have the customer sink a couple of bollards on it so it can't hit the pole. I mean, that's, bollards are cheap. It's a steel tube with concrete in it. That's nothing.
You gotta take a ride down a Sturbridge Isle truck stop. Those things are laying in the driveway, and they're this big around, and they've knocked them down. They'll knock anything over.
Pick a road.
That's
Yeah,
exactly right.
same thing.
That's exactly
Oh, yeah,
right.
I'm doing two jobs on the Charlton Rest Plazas right now for
Yeah.
charging
Need to-
stations.
Okay,
and
we
those
need
are
to stay focused on
same
the
thing.
issue
You
we have at
gotta
hand.
build those things like bunkers.
Okay,
But essentially, the existing line is 4 feet, 4 to 6 feet off New Boston Road. So if they put it in line, that setback would be automatically, connected. The weakness of these things that I'm really getting tired of is that you give permission for a location and the proximity around it. So when 30 years from now, they need a new pole, or the pole gets hit, they can put it in front of it. 30 years after that, they put it in front of it. Then all of a sudden, the town is inundated with telephone poles, virtually inches off of our pavement. And, I thought we were pretty, clear that we need at least a foot, the edge of the plow. If we're plowing the true gutter of the road, the throat of the plow angles out there an extra foot.
Need a couple
So
feet.
if you got a telephone pole set inside of 2 feet, we actually have to steer around it, or hit it. And, you're right. You go down Mashpog Road, they're cut,
They're everywhere.
the upper part is done, the secondary carrier on it has got work to do, and they sit there. And, but then you look at pole 9, which was, that was an attempted, they said they would cut and jack it and it wouldn't be any closer. Well, that thing was within a foot to begin with, and then all of a sudden they cut, jack it, put the new one in, and now it's like 4 inches, so that there's a net loss. Here we go again. It's like, somewhere, those permission slips should say they should never be less than 2 feet off the road, ever. I don't
Okay,
care if
I
it's
mean-
40 years down the road, or 50 years down the road, or 20 years down the road. That telephone pole should not encroach on that road within, at minimum 2 feet, ever. And
I get it.
where's this thing end?
I think
It's insane.
I think if we add the language that we need to in this contract, now that you're talking about replacements, if we simply put language that says, in our motion, and then it gets incorporated into this contract, I mean, legal will have to do it. If our motion reads that, then the contract has to reflect that, because that's what we signed.
Yeah, I
No, I
can't-
know it's over, I know,
can't
but
change
I'm
that
just
stuff.
saying, I
Yeah.
get it, but that's what our motion will read, so a revised contract will come back to us to be signed. And I think if we simply say, provided a 4 to 6 foot buffer is maintained, between the gutter line of the road and the pole face for this pole and any future replacement pole. And then in the future, if you have to replace the pole, we have the language right here that says the replacement pole also has to honor the existing buffer, so it doesn't diminish over time. And then I think we've taken care of that concern, at least for this pole. And in the future, we're going to add that language to every contract that comes before us. And we'll add the language that deals with replacement poles, and then we're all set, because if you come forward with a replacement and it's not honoring it, it's going to have to be moved.
Could I ask?
It's a very kind of simple concept.
Go ahead.
Could I ask in that regard, I don't want to get this approved on that or disapproved on that. Could we push this the 2 weeks on the pole 6 so I can go talk to at least, Vinny Lagadice on there and see if that's something the grid can do on a short notice, like change to a binding 4 to 6 foot type rule?
Well, you could, or we could just pass that motion and you go back to them, and if it doesn't work, you're coming back in 2 weeks anyway.
That was
But
my
if it
motion.
does work, then you don't have to come back.
But
Your
this-
way, you're coming back either way.
This is still an encumbrance on the property owner, correct?
I mean, yeah, any time delays, just pushing on
Right.
them. I mean, that's,
He doesn't even have a permit yet, does he?
For what?
For the restaurant and whatever else he's putting over there?
no, it's
It's a
not, this
public
isn't for the
hearing.
restaurant and that, this
It's
is
not
for
for
a
the
charging
restaurant.
station.
This is for the hotel.
This is for electric vehicle charging.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not for the,
There's-
it's not for the restaurant.
Yeah,
I would
but that's
just
not going
as-
to put him out of business.
No, I know, but I would just soon make the motion with the 4 to 6 foot buffer and the language we want, see if it passes, and then you may or may not have to come back. You know, you may go to legal and they may say, yeah, that's entirely reasonable, and then you don't have to come back. The other way is a delay regardless, and I just think that's kicking the can down the road. I mean, why don't we just put it in the motion, what we expect?
He's just asked for
Yeah, I-
exactly what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
so he's asking to go to somebody at a higher level
we got-
than
I
him
gotta-
to get
I can't-
get the
something we
okay
can
on
do.
it.
New contract
I don't
basis
think,
on-
I don't think Selectman Darling's request is unreasonable. Mass DOT Highway Division has a policy directive saying that any new poles are located at least 6 feet off of the edge of pavement.
Yeah, no, that's a perfectly reasonable
So,
request,
you know,
I just
and,
can't.
you know, and so I don't think it's unreasonable. I think if you can go back and come back with our community rep or somebody that can tell us that that's going to be acceptable in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to get National Grid legal on
But
it.
it's, we're not asking anything that Mass Highway isn't asking.
And you're not changing your contract right now. We're just making a motion to approve it with certain language.
Yeah.
You,
We're
I'm,
good. We got it. He's
Okay.
got it. I'm sure he's got it. He's coming back in 2 weeks. He's got it.
Yep.
Can you put a note, Debbie, on,
So we,
so we're
make
not,
sure that it comes back? in
we're
2
going to
weeks?
have to continue the hearing now.
so we don't want to make a motion,
Yeah, we'll just push it for 2
Just,
weeks. I'll come
um,
back with our community rep, we
Carry
can take
over.
a little more.
Is there a motion to carry over this public hearing?
I'll withdraw my
Good idea.
motion and make a motion to carry over the public hearing till the next selectmen's meeting.
September 5th. Okay.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, so I
Yeah.
guess September 5th, we'll see you again.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just as a general comment on poles, all of these poles are within what's called the safety zone of a roadway. And we're approving, in addition to giving them a pole location, we're approving an obstruction within the safety zone, and which, if somebody hits that pole, I would feel very bad if they got injured.
Okay, Greg, while you're here, your report.
Okay. June and July, you know, pretty much kept going on sweeping and brush cutting, and we did finish sweeping, I think it was last week, like Friday of last week, finally finished the first go-round, but we still got a way to go on brush cutting. And, one of the news guys started today, one starting Monday, next Monday. Predominantly, a lot of the work has been on New Boston Road, getting ready for that paving job. They're scheduled in September, second week of September, right now. And Other than that, we've just been working on stuff. The bids for the senior center paving, firehouse paving are out. And also the bids for the tennis courts are out. We've got 6 contractors have taken out both sets of specs. So Thursday, there's going to be a pre-bid meeting, and then the following Thursday is when the bids come in for those 2 projects. So stuff's going.
Any questions for Greg?
The ambulance and the fire department, they haven't called you on here for any maintenance at all?
Well, we just did it last Wednesday, one of them.
I mean, for the month of July, you didn't do anything?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we just did the ambulance, I think it's A2, the new one. Is that the new one? I'm pretty sure that's the new one. We just did that last Wednesday.
I think they're sending a lot of stuff out now, aren't they?
No, we've been getting it, just,
The engines and stuff, you're doing those too?
yeah.
Any other questions for Greg? Thanks, Greg.
Okay.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Jane?
I sent in the operation reports for both June and July. I'll start with any questions you might have on those.
How are we making out with staying within the guidelines of our permits?
We haven't had any violations.
No violations at all?
No.
Everything, the discharge, the whole thing, everything's in
Yeah.
good shape?
We haven't had any problems since we had the zinc violations early in the year. We've been able to make permit every month. And we just passed toxicity testing, which is another zinc test. So we're not making it by much, but we're working with the engineer to get better removal.
Gotcha. Now, the water testing, are we still doing that at the schools?
Yeah, actually, was one of the things I was going to bring up. Lead and copper samples, we just did the residents, and I got to do the schools in September. So it'll be all the schools, and I think there's, including the new school over at Old Sturbridge Village, and I believe there's either 3 or 4 daycares that are on town water that need to be done also. Now, we're only required to do 2 every year, but, you know, with the outcry on lead and copper, I just assume it's just easier just to do them all and make sure that, you know, everything's, is going to be good. I don't anticipate any problems.
So the nursery school is being done too?
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Excellent.
Any other questions?
Yeah, how are we doing on meter installations? Have we made any progress on the list that you had given us before?
All the businesses are now up and done. The only thing that's left is vacant homes or bank-owned homes, and off the top of my head, there might be 4 or 5 of those, but until someone buys a property, that's the way it's gonna stay.
So the water shut off at all those places?
No,
Really?
we won't shut the water off unless they send something in writing asking for it to be done. So, as of right now, there's probably 4 or 5 places that are vacant where the water's still on.
But they're paying the bills?
That I wouldn't know.
Okay.
If they don't, then there's a lien that goes on the property.
So Barbara makes the decision to shut the water off? Is that what happens?
No.
We don't shut water off, we lien properties instead.
We've made it very clear several times, though, if you're not on the...
Yeah.
And then, because that's when we come in for an abatement, when there's issues with the water, and we tell residents and businesses to turn the water off, because we're not certainly going to take it upon ourselves to turn the water off.
That's the
But
whole thing. Should we be sending a letter to these 4 or 5 property owners that have it now? That you are responsible unless you shut the water off?
Haven't we already done that 100 times?
Yeah.
Am I right, Greg?
Maybe a
Yeah.
hundred
Am I,
and
I'm
one.
right, right?
Our recommendation is to, if it's vacant, to shut it off, you know.
Yeah.
We tell them that all the time, so it's not new, right?
we probably, do we want to send another one? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, what I'm saying is that, you know, we're getting to the season where it's gonna start to get cold.
I know.
And if the pipes break because there's no oil in the tank, or they haven't
Well-
paid the oil guy, or whatever the situation is, those pipes are gonna break.
Well, how many, okay, I guess my biggest issue is how many times do we tell people this?
We've been over
I
it.
know, but that's my point.
Right.
That's exactly my point. We tell them and we tell them, and at what point is the responsibility fall to them? It's up to you. What, if you want a motion to that, that's fine. You know, make a motion to it.
I just think we've been through this a million times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Every
this
year
is
it's the
first
same
time-
story.
It's
But
not the
you've-
first time we brought it up, and we've used this forum plenty of times to warn people, if you're not gonna be in the house in the winter, the best thing for you to do is have us shut the water off. If you don't, and something happens, you're gonna be responsible for that bill. And we've been through it.
I think probably rather than sending, if we get into the practice of sending a reminder every year, then the one year we don't send a reminder,
You own it.
they'll be in and say, the onus was on you, you didn't remind us to do it. I think maybe in the blog, we direct our town administrator to make kind of an overall recommendation in his blog, and even maybe on our website,
Yeah.
and
I was
make
gonna
it
say
a
the
more
website.
general.
The website, as we have when there's a water ban, the same thing on the website.
Yeah.
Back, and,
I agree.
where do you stop? Where
Well,
do
I'm
you
actually,
stop?
I'm glad you brought up the water ban, because unless we get some rain this week, we'll probably go into it on Friday. The way the gauge
Start
is
putting
dropping.
signs out, right?
We'll put the signs out on Friday. If that happens, if we get a bunch of rain, we won't, but, it's
It's gone
coming.
pretty good so far.
Yeah, we haven't,
Been
it's
a
been a
good-
while since we've gone this deep
Yeah.
in the season without having to go into one.
Yeah.
But it's dropping, and it's dropping fast.
Okay. All right.
When will the lead and copper results be in for the houses? I know mine was one of the ones that was tested.
So what happens, I was able to get 16 samples, I have to get 20. So the 16 are back in, I've already notified all the homeowners of their results. 2 samples just went out today, and I'm waiting for results on 2 others. So I would say within a week or so. And then the homeowners will be notified, and I have to fill out the paperwork for the state.
And are they looking good?
So far, we've only had one over the limit, and it was just barely over the limit. Most of the lead are coming back non-detect, and the coppers are coming back very low. It's all got to do with corrosion control and your pH adjustment, which, we're doing.
Any other questions? Thanks, Shane.
All right, thank you.
Glenn? As you know, this is Glenn's last report to us.
Let's give it
Because
to
he's
him.
going to be retiring very soon,
Hey,
in about a little over a month, actually, right?
5
5 weeks.
weeks,
Not
yeah.
that you're counting, right, Glenn?
I'm not counting, but it is 5 weeks. Actually, 4 weeks, 4.5 days, so.
4 weeks, okay. Okay. What would you want to share with us, Glenn?
So I've given you my department head report for this year, since I don't have as much business as Highway, and we do this annually rather than every couple of months. Would it be okay if I read my report so the
Sure.
public can
Absolutely.
hear what the commission's done?
Absolutely.
Over the past year? So if I can. The Conservation Department is pleased to submit this report of activities for the period beginning July 1st, 2016. The Conservation Commission holds regularly scheduled meetings on the first and third Thursdays of each month, with a special summer schedule for the months of July and August. Meetings start at 6 p.m. and are held in the center office building. Meetings are now broadcast live for those that would like to watch from home. The Conservation Commission currently has 5 volunteers that are appointed by the town administrator and Board of Selectmen to serve 3-year terms. Current members are Ed Goodwin, David Barnacle, Stephen Chidester, Stephen Halterman, and Paul Zapin. Ed Goodwin serves as chairman of the commission, with Stephen Chidester taking over from Dave Barnacle as the position of vice chair. I'm happy to report that all members of the Conservation Commission attended the MAC Annual Environmental Conference in early March at Holy Cross in Worcester. This annual opportunity for training is helpful in that many courses offered, and the opportunity to meet and talk with other conservation commissioners from across the state. Every year when I do my department head report, I look back in the files to compare the workload to previous years. In the 5 years that I've been the agent, the number of notices of intent has steadily increased. In 2013, the Conservation Commission had 12 notice of intents. In the last 12 months, we've reviewed 40 notice of intents, a 21% increase in the last year and a 3-fold increase since 2013. Letter permits rose to 65 this past year after dropping to 42 letter permits the previous 12-month period. The total applications before the Conservation Commission in this period was 105. Of the 40 notice of intent submitted to the Conservation Commission, 8 NOIs were for new single-family homes, and 4 were for the raise and rebuilding of lakefront cottages. 4 applications were for additions to houses, and we continue to see the disappearance of lakeside camps and replacement by large year-round residences. With the change from seasonal to year-round homes, we could be faced with a serious problem of non-point source pollution. Such pollution results from lawn fertilizer and pesticides entering the lake during storm events. Increased year-round traffic on the private roads is also a source of sediments entering the lakes. Many of these private roads are suffering with runoff issues and property damage from the water and mud that flows off with every storm. I highly recommend the lake associations work with their neighbors and address the source of this non-point source pollution by installing and maintaining stormwater controls and educating residents to the consequences of fertilizers and chemicals entering the lakes. We must all make a conscious effort to be responsible stewards of our lakes and open space. Other NOIs reviewed by the Conservation Commission include the Hammondbrook Dam Removal Project and the 40B Affordable Housing Project on Main Street. The dam removal project has been in the works for over 5 years and is scheduled to start next month, early September. This project, financed entirely without town funds, will eliminate the liability the town has as owner of 3 old deteriorating dams. If the dams were not removed, the town would be liable for repairs and maintenance required by the Office of Dam Safety. The affordable housing project was very interesting to deal with because of the many exemptions allowed by the state. In consideration of the small parcel size and the location of a bordering vegetated wetland running through the parcel, I believe the commissioners did a good job protecting the wetland adjacent to the 3 proposed buildings. In fact, as part of the order of conditions, the applicant will clean trash, litter, and debris out of the wetland and will construct a walkway that will serve as a nature trail running along the edge of the wetland. Letter permits are used by the Conservation Commission to review smaller projects that are in the buffer zone and do not require the close oversight of the Commission or the control of site conditions afforded by an order of conditions. The Conservation Commission acted on 65 letter permits in the last 12 months. Examples of projects reviewed with letter permits are landscaping, wells, small sheds, decks, and a pool. Tree removal in the 200-foot buffer zone is also covered under the letter permit process. Studies have shown that good tree, shrub, and ground cover are significant to the continued good health of the lakes and wetlands. For that reason, the Commission reviews every application for tree removal to ensure that only dead and dying trees or trees that pose a safety risk are allowed to be removed. The Commission strongly opposes the removal of healthy trees and frequently requires replacement trees be planted for those that are removed. The Commission reviewed 30 tree removal applications for the past year. The Commission also issued 22 certificates of compliance for projects that have been completed. This is down from 42 last year. Many of these COCs have been requested as a result of home sales in which a title search has uncovered an old order of conditions. Many of these projects were completed years ago and the records must be retrieved from the archived files. The Commission must review the old file, compare the original plan with what is on site. In most instances, the project is substantially in compliance with the approved plan. However, there have been some instances when work has not conformed to the plan or there have been encroachments into conservation easements. Work on the Blue Wave Solar Project has been ongoing over the last year. All work on the actual arrays has been completed. There is a small amount of work remaining to stabilize the disturbed soils in the work area and to repair a stream crossing on the access road. The OSV Select Energy Solar Project was also completed this past year. Both these projects were monitored by the conservation agent during the construction phase. A stewardship plan has been developed for the Plimpton Community Forest to guide the Conservation Commission in managing the open space parcel and ensuring activities and development of the land for recreational opportunities, ensuring that activities and development of the land for recreational opportunities is consistent with the purpose of the conservation restriction on the property. The perimeter of the property has been blazed by a professional, and signs have been placed along the property line identifying the land as conservation property. An annual lake testing was conducted on July 28th and 30th. Thanks go out to Chris Mazika for organizing this year's event. Thanks also to the boat captains for their time and use of their boats to conduct this year's sampling, and to the volunteers who worked with Mr. Mazika to collect samples and record data. Our captains this year were John Elliott for South Pond, Bob White for Walker Pond, Tom Quinlan for Cedar Lake, Nancy Pirangelli for Lead Mine Pond, and Steve Carroll and Carolyn Brissett for Long Pond, and Bruce Gran and crew for Big Alum. Thank you to Laurel Carpenter and Eben Mazika for helping collect samples and record data. The weather was great. This year I put together a notice of intent for the Trail Committee for reconstruction of the Mount Laurel Trail on Lead Mine Mountain. This included one bridge and two boardwalks crossing wetlands and a stream. This work was partially completed by the Student Conservation Association and will be finished by members of the Trail Committee this fall. This will reopen a section of trail that was destroyed in the tornado. And that pretty much wraps up the significant stuff that the Conservation
Glenn, I have
Commission did.
thank you for your report. I have a question. It says on our announcements that there's an opening on Conservation Commission. Do you know who has left or who's
Well,
leaving?
if you remember back when, just before I
Is
joined.
this the alternates?
Yes, you
Oh,
used to
okay.
have alternates.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
And that's
two, I
what we
think.
would like to have, two alternates to
Okay.
come on board with the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
They would be allowed to vote if one of the regular commissioners was unable to participate in a particular project, conflict of interest or whatever it might be, or
Okay.
somebody has missed a number of meetings, an alternate could step in.
So it's alternates, it's not that we have any of the five that have stepped down or anything?
No, this is
Okay.
just for alternates.
Great, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Questions of Glenn? Mary?
On your annual lake testing, I know you thanked everybody involved, which is great. How did the tests result in terms of our lakes'
So they've been
cleanliness?
doing it a long time now. I think probably 10 years we've been testing your lakes. And the results have been pretty consistent. Last year, well, I should say this year, we noticed that compared to last year's clarity, the lakes are not quite as clear. I think we use a Secchi dish that we lower down, and we can look down and we see how far down it goes. And in Big Alum, Lead Mine, and South Pond, gosh, you can get down over 20 feet and still see this dish. And we noticed that there was about a foot difference this year compared to last year. And we think it could be because last year we were in a drought condition, and this year we've been getting pretty much regular rains that may be adding more water to the lakes, stirring it up just a little bit. So we may be seeing that. But other than that, I think what we're seeing in the lakes stays pretty consistent from year to year. We've got some really good quality lakes, and then we've got some lakes that are really impacted by the runoff from the Mass Turnpike.
So a foot, you think, is from the sediment kind of kicking up with all the rain we've had this summer?
I think the rain may be bringing in some sediments, maybe stirring things up a little bit. I wouldn't be overly concerned with the minor change that we're seeing. It's not a trend. I think it's just an observation that we've got more rain this year than we did last year.
And I know you mentioned like the pesticides with summer camps getting converted to year-round homes, more pesticides, more fertilizer, chem fertilizer on the lawns. Is that increasing and getting into our lakes? Do you when you test the lakes, do you test for the chemicals that are in the pesticides and?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We're not testing for pesticides. So I would say, just by seeing what's going on around the lake, how could we help not having more stuff getting into the lake? People love their green lawns, And I can't help but think that some of that fertilizer is getting in, and especially in some of the shallower lakes, we're probably getting algae blooms because of that. And, you know, homeowners, I think, are using herbicides and pesticides, and hopefully they're following the instructions. But, you know, we want people to be sure that, you know, they're using this stuff correctly and not, you know, thinking that, gee, a little fertilizer is good, a lot's gonna be even better. That really, you have to moderate this, and yeah, it's wonderful to have a green lawn, but think of what it's doing to the lake also.
Yeah. Do you know if other towns test for those do other towns test for that in their lakes?
I haven't heard of any other
Okay.
towns that have any program like yours. This is a beautiful, beautiful program to really keep an eye on the lakes.
I know at Cedar Lake, we fell behind a little bit on that testing as far as the clarity goes, because I was in it for 4 or 5 years. And the reason we tabbed that was because it's a single-tiered ecosystem. In other words, the deeper lakes, Big Elm and that, they get into a 2-tiered ecosystem, so it's clearer down towards the bottom and colder than it is at the top.
Most definitely.
Where Cedar Lake
Yeah.
basically has one
Shallow.
temperature for the most part.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes a big difference in the clarity.
You know, Craig, it's really dramatic when you're out there and you're doing these tests, and they lower this meter down every 2.5 feet.
Yeah, we did it for years.
And you get down to about 17.5 feet on some of the lakes, and all of a sudden, what a difference.
Yeah.
Within 5 feet, I mean, the water temperature drops dramatically.
You go up to lead mine, you can probably see it at the bottom. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty clear.
Pretty clear.
That's right.
There's some beautiful lakes out there. Big Alum's the same, but I think there's a running contest between the two of them, who's got the clearest water.
Yeah.
And it's mighty close.
Yeah.
Anything else for Glenn? Glenn, we wish you a very happy and long retirement. And thank
very
you for your
much.
service.
God bless.
Yeah.
Thanks an awful
Don't
lot.
throw him out yet, he's still got a little.
Oh, I know, but we won't
I've
see
got a
him.
couple
We
more
have a
days
busy
to go.
conservation department for the size of our town, so.
Very much so.
I
You've got a
know.
lot of wetlands, a lot of beautiful wetlands to protect, and
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that it's really been a pleasure. I've met a lot of nice people in Sturbridge, worked with a lot of wonderful residents. You know, Mary, Priscilla, I've been working with you for 5 years. You know, these two guys are kind of new on the board here, but, you know, getting used to them too. But it's really been a pleasure. I've had a good time, and it's with mixed emotions that I'm leaving town, but I am 65, and I've got some plans to travel and enjoy myself and whittle away at that 401K I've been building all
You got
these
it,
years.
you got it.
So,
That's what it was for.
thank you for a pleasurable 5 years. It's been really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Dan?
Don't smile too much, Glenn.
He's got a big smile on his face, huh?
So with Glenn giving his final report, I'll be giving my beginning report.
And you're not going anywhere yet. We worked hard to get your position, so.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
I start off with, with our completed projects that we've done over the past months. We've implemented over 150 to 200 various work orders. We've had inspections at the town hall center, the town hall, the Cobb building, the elevators at the senior center, also the burglar alarms, and as well as the smoke alarms as well. I've worked closely with Chief Grasso on the safety complex. We've completed the dorm room project to house the newest employee down there. The center office building, we work with outside vendors, and also the town hall, we worked with outside vendors. We had some problems in both buildings that we were working with outside vendors to rectify. As of right now, all the situations are taken care of.
I'm going to ask you something just on that. Is that the mold that you're talking about?
Correct.
How was the mold detected?
It was something I was inherited, so I'm not sure how it was detected. My guess is that it was detected visual on boxes or product or something down there.
How were you able to rectify it? Just curious, because mold is a very serious issue.
You think?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, right, Craig? Yeah, so how, like, I mean, how was it, and that's why I stopped you here, because this is a really, I've seen what this can do in, not only in his situation, but I've seen it in others, in other buildings. How was it cleared?
So it was cleared in a manner of basically cutting out the cancer as opposed to trying to clean it and call it candy coated. So if this was a moldy box and there was a moldy knee wall over there, it was cut out, physically cut out, and treated, cleaned, and as opposed to cleaned and, candy coated, if you will.
So the area that the box was taken out of was cut out?
Yes.
Okay. All right, just keep going.
Okay. The town hall, the painting has started, has begun, the columns around the town hall, all around the wood and the columns. The school building, the painting contractors have been contacted, and we're waiting for quotes on that. We've done miscellaneous vendor changes for the cleaning supplies, both at the town hall, Cobb Building, library, and also the safety complex. We've implemented pest control plans for the town buildings. Weed control, which we hadn't had anything in the past that I was aware of. So we're on top of that now at this point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Working on.
Dan, can I just ask a question? On the pest control, we've got a maintenance plan. Did we find pests in the buildings? And if so, what were they?
Yes, we did, and they were spiders and mice that were located in the buildings.
Okay,
And-
here, center office building,
Correct.
where else?
These two here, to be exact. And also, there was always a little bit of ongoing pest control going on at the safety complex.
What about the senior center?
Senior Center had always had something put into place for their pest control, to my knowledge.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Pest control, let's see, process beginning. There's been a HVAC study done at the library. We're in phase 2 now, and RFP is going to be drafted for contractors to be initiated. There is a painting issue at the nursery school that needs to be addressed before the 2018 school year begins.
Don't have to do it lead?
Yeah, I think we have to do the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so wait, lead is an issue at the nursery school?
Could be. You have to do an abatement before you.
Why are we waiting?
This just got brought to my attention.
But I understand that, but why are we waiting until 2018 if there's a lead issue?
We're not waiting. If you look at the top of the list, it says projects for the short term, 1 year.
It says less than 1 year, but it says should be completed by 2018. Is that January 2018 or is that December 2018?
School year of 2018.
School year of 2018 would be September of 2018 to June of 2019. That's a school year.
Yes.
So we're waiting a year to do anything with possibility of lead with children.
It's the two, maybe I have my numbers mixed up here. It's the 2018,
So you're saying by June of 2018?
No, that's not what he said. He
Okay.
said the school year of 2018. The school year of 2018 is September 2018 to June 2019. That's an academic year.
yes.
Or is it fiscal 18?
The academic year is what we're after, and it's it will be
required.
beginning next year,
So it is September 18 to June of 19.
June 18.
If you're going to do June of 18, then you're starting now.
That's right, and that's why I have it on the project term.
Okay, so I'm
Yes,
still not
let's-
clear when you're starting this. Are you starting this?
Starting this now.
You're
Within
starting
the-
this now?
Yes.
Oh, completed by June of 18?
Yes.
Okay.
It's academic year 2017.
So it's not the academic year of 2028, and 18 is
By the
2017,
end of this
correct?
count.
That's the academic year, 2017. Okay.
That's correct.
Or June of 2018 is the end of the 2017 academic year. June.
So it's going to be done by next June. Okay.
Completed by next year.
Okay.
Electrical, there's been some electrical outlets in the front of the town hall building exterior that has been some concern of the town. For the decorating of the holiday season and the festive lights, a contractor should be hired, to remedy the electrical issue. Long-term and major concerns, at least at this point.
Can I ask one question on the roof, on the projects for short term? It says the existing slate roofs on some town buildings needs to be inspected.
No.
This is a specialized field. Don't we have somebody on retainer for like $10,000 a year to take care of these slate roofs?
That's what I thought.
So why are we calling somebody else in here? This should be inspected every single year.
That's a good question.
We had a contract for that.
Yeah.
We have to go back and check that in
Yeah.
our records, in the minutes. We have to check on that.
Yeah,
That's a Leon
Yeah, when
project.
these roofs were put on,
That's a Leon
Yeah.
project.
yeah.
yeah, we're
Okay.
going to coordinate that with the town administrator.
Well, are you all set on yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, while we're under the roof, let's go to windows. I noticed the windows at the senior center, it says need replacement, and at the town meeting, the town voted, I believe, $28,000 to replace the windows. Now, what I'm reading, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, that's why you can correct it. It appears that now there's a question on whether that building is historic and whether the windows are going to be replaced as they are. I guess I'm a little confused, and this isn't to you necessarily, because at the town meeting, nobody raised that. Nobody raised that issue. This issue has been bantered for the last year and a half. I was on that the senior committee to put together the steering committee to put together the study committee. And I believe you served on that study committee, according to the report that we have. So in that study committee that you sat with, did they discuss these windows as possible historic issue?
The only thing I received a report that said that there's a possibility of those windows being being historical, and call it the jury is still out on that. And
Did they discuss it at the meetings that you were at?
I was not at that meeting.
So
You were
who's
not
saying
at that
it's
meeting?
historic?
Okay. I'm not going to reveal the name on here, but my understanding is the individual who's bringing this up is an individual who's very familiar with the senior center, was present at the town meeting and didn't bring it up there. Now, this can delay those windows in that building for quite a long while.
We're waiting for that decision. Who's going to come down with the decision, Dan? Is our town administrator looking into it?
No, I don't think so. I think it's that senior committee, my understanding, I could be wrong, but my understanding was that senior committee that put the study together I guess, is now facing this.
I think we should bring the individual forward with their justification for the concern.
I'm good with that.
Or be quiet.
But,
know,
no, I
we
get
got a
it.
building
but
to fix.
Right, you're saying waiting
Yeah.
for that decision, cannot move forward without it. who's coming forward? Because I want to know for the record, who's coming forward with the decision?
I believe Leon and the group.
Yeah, of which you're a
Historical
part of.
Commission?
No, it's a group, is that the group that you're part of, that senior group? Is that the group?
That I was placed on, yes. But I have not been to any meetings. They had, I'm not exactly sure, a meeting, but then after the fact, I was placed on that meeting. Or
So
at
it's
that
not the it's our town administrator with the Senior Center Planning Committee. Is that right?
Correct.
And that came up at their last meeting, like?
No, it was brought out after that.
Yeah.
It was brought out by someone else, not by them.
So Leon's probably looking to find out.
So, I mean, as it stands, the center itself is not on the Historical Commission, to my knowledge.
No, it's not. You're right, it isn't. You're absolutely right.
So, you know, if it was me, I would be going forward with it not being a historical window, and because the building is not on the,
You're right, because I have the list of all the buildings from Massachusetts, and I had looked for Sturbridge for a couple of other buildings, and they're not historical. They may have historic significance because they were old schools or whatever they were, but none of them that I looked at, and this is one of them, the Snellville School is not listed on a National Historic Register. So I agree with.
And isn't a window, like,
No, if it's
I know, if it's
historic, no.
historical, I'm just curious, if it's historical, what
Yeah.
kind of window do they have to put in?
Single pane.
Oh, the single
they
pane as
can't
opposed to
do-
the double
right,
pane?
right.
And so then it's draftier, et cetera.
And then, and if you do that, then all the wood needs to be, I mean, the wood is rotted in a lot of
Yeah.
those windows. So if you're gonna fix that, you really, not, 28,000 will probably do 2 windows at that point. If
it's that
if
much
it-
more expensive
oh,
as
it's much
well.
more expensive, yeah. Because
So,
you need a,
you'll have to
you
have
need a
Leon look into it.
specific restoration committee, company to come in. It's not just anybody that's gonna put in the windows.
that is correct.
Yeah.
You know, and
Seems
if you
over the
instruct me to do so, I will certainly start seeking that out.
On a historic thing?
Yes.
I don't know if the board wants to, I personally don't. I think there's nothing historic to the building. But we'll let Leon come back
Yeah.
with that decision, because if the decision has to be coming, we'll let Leon come with it.
Yeah, well,
So you can, we'll address it with Leon.
yeah, we have to talk to the town administrator about that issue, and I'm sure he'll give you instruction on how to proceed.
Okay. Long-term major concerns, there's been, I've had and heard and seen several concerns that the building will need, that need to be addressed in the future. The first of which is security and cameras. Okay, my first concern is the town has been left unlocked from time to time, and you know, if I stay late, if I'm up here in this office, or I go downstairs, I'm not sure who's down there, you know, and Barbara Berry is in her area right there. She has no knowledge of who is coming in that building, okay? And to me, that's a concern, after watching what happened at Harrington Memorial Hospital a short period of time, you know, and they have people around. You know, I don't know what the quick fix is or the answer is, but at least cameras can deter and, you know, push away that element. You know, they deal with, you know, the public each and every single day. I see it every day. You may or may not see it when you breeze by or come in, but there are a lot of disgruntled customers that come into this town hall. So,
That's to be expected in
I
any
think
of these
working with the
public
police
buildings.
department to develop a security plan, maybe hiring a security consultant company to develop that plan, developing an order to know who will be using the town hall and when. Now, I do know that we have a sign-in sheet for when we have late meetings and whatnot. But you know, we all have the same key. You know, we have that same entrance. To me, we should have certain heads of certain departments should have certain keys that are noticeable and recognizable when it, you know, if there's an issue, who left, who opened and didn't lock, who was in a rush and they left, you know. I think just in general, I think the security should be beefed up in these town buildings, period. And that goes along with installation of interior and exterior cameras, the town hall, center office building, library, and the DPW building. Obviously, it's been a big concern of everyone's as the long-term vacancy of 8 Brookfield Road, which is we're currently doing a study on. I certainly would like to see it developed in some way. As it sits, it's an expense to the taxpayers, and utilizing space that could probably be an asset. And, you know, I am in the midst of developing a 5, a 10, and a 15-year plan on all our town-owned properties. Preventive maintenance, just to name a few of them, you know, there are things called the water hog that are specifically placed in areas where there are bathrooms and basements that, which I believe, I'm not sure, what happened downstairs with the catastrophic areas where there was water that had gotten in downstairs and went undetected because nobody was going down there. Now that is certainly isn't the case, because I do check those areas, you know, daily, if not, you know, every other day. You know, those are sensors that will go off and tell us that, you know, there's water here, and, you know, someone's in zone 6, you should go check it, you know. And then just a little blurb about our fleet vehicles being maintained and inspected and taken care of. And really, that's my report for my first report. I didn't quite know what you were expecting, and, you know, I'm open for any questions that you may have for me, please.
I just have one suggestion to you, and it's for the town, actually.
God bless you.
Either on letterhead, date it, and put your name to it, because 6 months down the road, somebody looks at this and says, wow, when did we do this? When did we look at this stuff? Nobody's going to have an idea because there's no date. And that way, it also gives them the person to go back to, who all the department heads do it this way, whether it's DPW or conservation or whatever, it's all on letterhead, or, you know, with the name and the date, so that you can go back to the record and see when it happened.
Understandable.
So that's a suggestion I would make.
Okay.
Anybody else? Craig? Mike?
Yeah, I just, yeah, I know you've working on HVA study for the library, but is there any plans for the town hall and center office building to take a look at issues with HVAC?
Yes, we do have plans for that as well.
Okay. I know there's issues there, and it's something that I didn't see on the list that I'd like to, see the status of that on your next report or whatever is HVAC at the town hall and center office building, where we stand on that. All in all, it's the first we've got, but it's really good to be briefed on the status of our facilities. Something that we haven't done in the past, and thank you for updating us on it. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, I thought it was very good. I agree with Priscilla, just put it on a memo, date it, and say, who you are. But I was personally very impressed that over 150 work orders have been completed from the time you were hired. I mean, that shows just how busy and just how needed this position was. I wouldn't want you to spend a lot of time on it, but, sometimes just a few examples of what those 150 work orders entailed, just so that people realize just, how busy, and sometimes that prompts a question. I know you are already looking into the heating and ventilation, and that wasn't specifically listed, but I think you're very busy, and I think that it's a very good job, and I like your long-term recommendations. When I was reading over this, I'm thinking, temperature sensors. I mean, we redid these 2 buildings, and that seems kind of something that is pretty basic that our contractor could have thought of, when we
It just didn't come out
spent
yesterday.
6 or 8 million.
For a while.
Yeah, so things like that. So I appreciate that, and I think we'll look into it, when Leon's back, because, I agree, that and a security system is, very good advice that you're giving us, so.
And security system, I'm sorry, excuse me, go ahead.
No, the security system that you're recommending for the buildings and a camera.
It is gonna
Take that up.
probably will be lengthy in money, but it's, what, I think you need to feel secure in your buildings and in your surroundings. And, it happened a mile down the road, and, there's nothing that say that something couldn't happen close by here, and I hate to see it happen on my watch. That's all.
Yeah.
As long as we're working towards it, I feel we're doing our due diligence as a town. So,
Yeah.
Any other questions for him?
Getting back to that nursery school, when they did the paint, did they come up with something that is this just something that has to be done as a state law? You mentioned something about the state and the date, the timeline.
So
Trying to find out, did we detect a problem? Did we find a problem? Did somebody get sick, or what's?
So I received a report from the person who's in charge of the school, and she said that there's peeling and cracking paint above and beyond, the level of what is the acceptance for them to get accepted for their school year, not this school year, next school year.
So again, we'll have to-
And as just wants us to take a peek at it and take a look at it, and so since then, really, the only action we've taken is, we've gone through visual, both Leon and myself, and we also pulled the copy of the lease to see what, who's responsible for what.
So, okay, I'm going to go back to the next school year, not this school year.
Correct.
So we are back to 18 and 19.
No, it has to be done before the next school year.
That's not what he just said. That's why I want the clarification from Dan. Just because it's children, that's all, You said next school year. Now, we can interpret that to be starting September? Is that what we're talking about? Next school year, the one that's right now?
No.
The
It's
one,
that's
so it is what I initially said. It is September of 18 to June of 19.
Yes.
That's what I said before. So it is the academic year of 2018. So again, I'm going to raise the question, if it's lead, there are state laws that protect children with lead. Why are we waiting 1 year?
That's why I'd rather take the peeling and chipping paint and get it tested and see
That's
where
what
are
I'm
we?
saying. Yeah,
I'm very confused.
We don't want to let kids in there if we've got a severe problem.
and it's a state law. I mean, it's a law. You can't have lead with children.
That's correct.
Dan, I don't, thank you for bringing it back up, because are we starting that? So we're in August right now.
It's next year, he
Are you
says.
starting in September of this year, or are you starting in September of next year?
He just said no.
I know, I just want to because we've said it, we've gone back and forth, we've said contradictory things now, so.
It wasn't something slated for this year.
That's
Oh,
what,
it
that's
is
what he
not.
just said. So it is 2018, which means
That's not soon enough.
it ends in 19, and that,
Yeah.
for me personally, that doesn't work.
Yeah, we don't have an appropriation
children.
for whatever might have to be done, so.
Yeah, I agree with Craig, check the paint. If
Why
the
don't we
paint's
put that-
got lead.
We can
Put that
check
on
it.
For the next meeting, I have, leave a note for Leon to, let's see if
Yeah.
we could expedite that, to see what, if
Okay.
there is a situation there that we gotta get.
Yeah,
taken
We gotta do
If
that
it's-
now, not a
Yeah,
year from now.
exactly.
If it's something that's emergency, we get it done.
So that's correct, you were not, and I know you were not doing that, anything on that until 1 year
2018.
September.
Correct.
That's
Oh,
what he said.
yeah, so that isn't a short term.
Yeah, that's a long term. That's
That's a year,
that's over a year.
year plus.
That's into a year and a half, because you're looking at it during the school year, so it could actually be even looked at in March of 2019, which puts it even further. I agree, I agree, I'll ask Leon to put it on the agenda
That'd be great.
to check the paint, yeah. And if it's not
Yeah.
lead, then it can wait.
I mean, the building's not brand new, and I don't
No.
exactly know how old it is,
That's
so.
the thing, yeah, that's the thing. And you have children in there, and there are state laws protecting them against lead paint. In fact, apartments have laws against lead paint.
And it could
with
be just
children.
chipping paint, and the building was
Exactly.
inspected long ago, and there is no lead,
Exactly.
but we should know.
Yeah.
For the-
I
for peace
totally
of mind.
agree.
Yeah, it may have been de-leaded
Yeah,
already.
exactly.
Who knows?
I will certainly get on that.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
very good. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you very
Very
much.
good.
Approval of Riverlands parking lot plans?
I thought we were gonna continue that to the next meeting.
Are we, I mean, is
No,
that?
that's what I had here. I had a note that says, we talked about it, and we talked about continuing it to the next meeting.
The Riverland?
That's what it said. Because most of the other stuff, we went down this, we went right down this list.
Yeah, I didn't bring it up because I needed short things to fill in the time,
Yeah,
7 o'clock.
I think she
All right.
jumped over it.
No, I purposely jumped over it because I don't expect it to be a 2-minute discussion. And that's why at the time I needed to get 5 minutes in for 7 o'clock, and I knew I couldn't do that with Riverlands. So that's why I skipped it.
I'm still confused. I went to the eclipse today, and I'm still recovering from that.
Okay,
Good evening.
good evening.
Good evening, members of the board. This is on the agenda tonight by the Trails Committee and also in consultation with Leon because he knew Greg would be here, so if the board had any questions, Greg would also be here to address them. As the board may recall, several months back, about 6 or so months ago, we were before you and the board approved a trail plan, but at that time, we did not put before you a parking lot plan, and that's what we're here to do tonight. The plan was originally a conceptual drawing done up by students of WPI about 5 or 6 years ago. But, as the board is aware that, there's been a history of the property for, not being too actively involved on that property until just recently. So that plan sat for a number of years. And since then, we've, looked at the property and the lay of the land and also figured out that, this particular proposal that's before you has been, is what is recommended by the Trails Committee. It has been reviewed by Greg, and Greg's here to obviously address any questions or comments you may have. But the Trails Committee sees this parking lot as one of the key parking lots in the long-term development of our open space properties. It's about as centrally located within the town as we could have a parking lot. It will be along the Grand Trunk Trail, right about, not quite in the middle, but somewhere close to the middle of going either east or west. And with the Riverlands, we have, conceptual designs to connect to the Lead Mine Mountain and Heinz Farm property. So from this parking lot, you can go just about any way you want to go to get on any of our number of open space properties. So it is a key parking lot, and we envision this to be one of the busier parking lots that we would be putting in. So that's why it's planned for 24 parking spots, 2 of which are handicapped accessible, and then we've set aside areas for 2 people with horses are allowed to use the trails. So if they come in with a pickup truck and a trailer, there's an area set aside for them to pull in safely and off to the side of everything. So that's basically what we're here for. We have the money aside if the selectmen feels such to approve this. We already have the money approved to hire an engineering firm to go in and actually, do the actual surveying and, getting it all drawn up and planned so that we can go forward and get the various permits from the Conservation Commission, what have you.
Questions from the board?
What's going to be inside the fenced-in area?
Right now, those 2 buildings currently exist. That is the area where the town stores the equipment that the Trail Committee, along with the DPW, use. So that's, again, by putting the parking lot, we think that area may need additional security, so at least we're putting it on, that, we should probably put in a 6-foot-high fence around that area just to, again, ensure security of that area.
So this is pretty much under the power lines.
No, there's no power lines. There's an abandoned line that's been discontinued. It's still aerial, but there's no power line in this immediate area. The power lines are, from this area here, the power lines are, what, 300-400 feet, right? It's downhill, yeah.
Is it downhill?
This is down towards the village more than it is up by the power lines, where the power lines cross.
So this is where the building is, where you keep your
Yep.
excavator and that stuff?
Yep.
Okay,
The new driveway will be just up, 100 feet up the hill.
I got you,
From
okay.
where it is now?
Now, I know you noted that we need to get trail easements from OSV.
Yes.
Have we received any, input at all on these preliminary plans? Do you think there's going to be any
We had very
concern?
preliminary discussions with the staff, and they have encouraged us to continue the process.
Oh, they have?
And we're here today, if you guys don't want to see it, this is, part of the process.
Oh, no, I understand, but you've already spoken.
We've spoken to them,
briefly,
they've
and
been receptive to.
they're receptive,
Yeah,
okay.
they're receptive, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Other questions?
Do you think 24 parking spaces would be adequate, or,
That's a lot.
Well, I'll be, Mike, for a
I've
very
seen-
good point of discussion, okay? Our challenge right now is when we want to host events. Even, we had 30 people show up for the GeoFest on the Plimpton property. Fortunately, that road is long enough and we were able to get all the vehicles off. The Old Sturbridge Village, where the sharp bend is, where people park out close to the road.
Yeah.
There is, the Conservation Commission there has approved a 20-car parking lot, and the area will be cleared as part of the dam removal process. So we'll actually be putting an additional parking lot there. But at the end of the day, if we're going to have some kind of really large event, the answer is no. 24 cars would not be adequate. But in the past, actually a year ago, last April, when we had the Earth Day cleanup there, and we had about 40, 50 people, we had reached out prior to that event to the village and had received their permission to, use the end of their parking lot, for parking for that event. So, we have formed somewhat of a partnership with the village there already, and again, that's why we, conceptually, they've said, come talk to us. We'll put your presentation together and come back. So, the other thing too, that in the conservation easement that is held by Opacum on this property, they actually blocked out 5 acres in this general area for this kind of purpose. So the conservation easement will allow us to expand the parking lot in the future if, we think it's appropriate to do so. So we have the opportunity to expand.
Yeah, what was in the back of my mind is we're forming a special event committee.
Absolutely.
And so if we start having special events that involve the trails.
We're going to need more parking than
then-
24. No question, Mike, no question.
That was what
Yep,
my thought
but it
process.
starts, okay,
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere.
somewhere, right. Okay, I mean, if the board thinks it should be a bigger parking lot, we'll take that to the engineer and see how much larger we can make it. Again, we've got up to 5 acres there to utilize,
Yeah,
so.
normal day-to-day operation, 24 should be more than
Should be
adequate.
more than adequate, I would think, yes.
I'm just having one problem here, looking at this design, is that
Yep.
I'm not able to pick up where the road is.
So the road, as you look at it, the road is on the far left. Okay, and if you see where it says new GTT location,
Yep,
if you look at the far left line
okay.
that stops a little short,
Yeah.
right about in that location would be the actual entrance to the Old Sturbridge Village parking lot. So we're just a little up Stallion Hill Road from the actual entrance to the Old Sturbridge Village.
Okay.
Opposite
Okay.
side.
Just on the right-hand side of the road going up. Village would be on the left-hand side.
Candy cane there for the oil one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Matter of fact, that pipeline right-of-way, that's where we'd be locating the trail, is actually on the right-of-way.
I see.
Because it's already cleared, it'd be minimal cost to actually, get the rail bed in there. And it pulls it out of having the trail go through the middle of the parking lot, which is one of the other things that the WPI students had done, because at the time, we weren't sure we could use that right-of-way. But
Right,
now that
because
it's
what I'm
been
looking at is-
discontinued and abandoned, we can get on it.
In Greg's notes here, it says that his change was to only have one driveway on the
Driveway,
property
yes.
instead of two.
Yes.
But you haven't given us what the width of the driveway is, because if somebody's coming out with a horse trailer and somebody's going in,
That would be, I apologize for that, but it would be 24 feet, 12 foot.
24, okay, because I'm looking at the gate
12 in.
beside it, the gate's only 16.
Well, again, that's the gate to get into the
Into the
secure,
buildings are.
secure area of the
Yeah,
buildings, yep.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. That's 24 feet.
yeah.
Okay.
Are we gonna, is this gonna, the pavement, is it gonna be paved with, like, paved surface for the parking area, or is it gonna be gravel?
As of right now, the only thing that'll be paved will be the apron coming in off of the road. Again, for cars coming in and out. Plus that complies with our town bylaw for driveways to be paved in.
Yeah.
But the rest of it would be the dense grade, 7/8 crusher run, compacted gravel
Yeah.
material.
And what would the width of the horseshoe be at the end? Because it looks like that's where you're gonna bring your horse trailers around, you're gonna parallel park one in front of the other, is that correct?
Right, so, it's about approximately 12 feet. I didn't again, this was more of a conceptual. I would allow the engineer to, make sure it meets the right widths and radii and all of that
Okay.
stuff, okay?
Yeah.
I think I wanted just to present to you some, at the end, there'll be that horseshoe, how big it is. I'm gonna let the engineer say this is
Right.
how it should be, okay?
We'd be just approving the concept, and then you come back to us with the plans, is that correct?
Yeah, we'll have an engineer draw up a plan, and then, between Greg and Leon and that review process, if the board wants to see it, or, if Leon thinks it's appropriate, the board weigh in on it some more, what have you, that'll be part of the process before we go out to construction. Absolutely.
I have no further questions.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Just to move this along a little bit. No, I mean, I think it's a great idea. That still has to go to engineering, but OSV's on board, at least preliminarily. So I make a motion that we approve the preliminary plans for the parking lot at the Riverlands as presented to us at tonight's meeting by Mr. Chamberlain.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Votes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, a question to the board. Do you want to discuss the permitting software? upgrade project to SLS IT, and to approve the agreement to begin the project? Or do you want to wait for Leon?
Is there any, Leon could make the presentation a lot better than we can. Is there any time constraint that we're under to approve the contract or anything like that, or?
From what he said, the sooner it's approved, the sooner it gets implemented.
Yeah. The only, I know from going to like the MMA conference and stuff, Excella seems like they're in this business and they're, a good firm and that does this kind of permitting software. And I have to trust that Leon and the other town department heads that were involved in putting together this package did a good job, so.
Do you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract with Excella for the permitting software.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Is there discussion?
I just want to know, Leon's obviously a proponent of this. I mean, if he were here tonight, he would be...
He asked that if we could get this approved tonight, it would help him. His motion right here on his own memo is that to award the upgrade project to Excella and to approve the agreement so that they can begin the project here in town. So yes, he's very much a proponent.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries 3-1.
Yeah.
Are you abstaining or are you against it?
No, I just don't think it's right without having a good explanation.
Oh, no,
from
I
the
was
party
just
who's the
asking for
proponent
my own, so it's...
before I vote on it.
Right, I get it.
You know?
So it's 3-1, not 3-0-1.
Right.
No, it's
You're not
3-1.
abstaining, okay.
New business. Oh, actually, approval of minutes. Do you want to do the minutes? Do you want to wait for Mary? Your call.
I'd like to wait, I'm sorry. I didn't have an opportunity to review them to the extent I would have liked to.
Okay. New business, Craig?
No, ma'am.
Mike?
No.
Mary?
No.
I don't have any either. Citizens Forum, there isn't any? There a motion?
So moved.
What?
I just have, oh,
Wait.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly ask, did we amend the special municipal employee
No.
designation? We're going to wait?
I'm
on
holding
that?
everything else.
And the safer grant, okay,
I'm
that's
holding
fine.
everything else.
Got it.
We've done everything that has to be done tonight.
Right, the rest is being
I'll
held.
leave it in my basket
Okay,
then.
there was a motion. Was there a second?
I'll second it now.
Okay, are those in favor?
So. Municipal employee. Just gonna stick it back in my box.
Just Craig, see if I had somewhere else to be tonight.